Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today you have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and Dave Duncan. Dave, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Dave, we are now in book 3 of Dune, The Prophet, and we are in chapter 38 and 39. This is the chapters we're going to be covering. And we have Harkonnens. That's what we're talking about this episode.
Yay. Gotta love them Harkonnens.
So we get the whole thing starts off with the Baron goes into Nephew's, his captain of his guards, or whatever he calls him, whatever he is. He's the Baron's personal,
concubine.
Not concubine, but yeah, thank God, not that. But his own personal, head of all his soldiers or whatever, Nephew.
Yeah, the guy he promoted, after Duke Leto let out his bad breath.
Yeah, after he killed Pita. So Nephew's sitting there high on his drugs, the Samuda, and he comes yelling at Nephew! And apparently the Baron was in his room with one of his pleasure boys.
Concubines.
And he noticed a blemish on his inner thigh. And what was the inner thigh?
It was a poison dot.
Poison needle inside him, ready to, when he's slamming his ass.
Oh man, they're trying to prick his prick.
Yes. So pretty disturbing. So not only is he, they don't really say what the boy's age is, but I'm assuming it's underage or teenage.
It's a boy that probably looks like Paul Atreides again, because he's got a thing for his grandson.
Right. Exactly. So, anyway, so that's disturbing. But then we find out that when Nephew he's confounded because he just doesn't even understand what's happening, because he's like, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. It's like, I told you to look over the slave every little bit, and there was a blemish, and it was a poisonous needle that was in there. So this is when we find that Feyd-Rautha is in... he's the one who sent the boy.
He's trying to accelerate his ascent to the throne.
Yeah, so apparently Feyd-Rautha sent the boy, and he is trying to kill his uncle to become the next whatever the Baron is, or become the Baron. And strangely enough, they have 2 guards leave to take the boy out of the Baron's quarters, but he realizes that they must be in cahoots with Feyd. So Baron realizes this already, and Nephew's just completely clueless. So he says, I want you to have the slave master garroted, kill him, and then I want you to kill those 2 guys that just grabbed that boy. And they're like, what are those 2 guys? They're like, just do what I say.
Why not those 2 guys?
And so then he takes Feyd. He says, Feyd, come to my quarters. And he has Feyd walk in front of him, and Feyd keeps on thinking that Baron's going to kill him with a poison knife right in the back. So there's this moment where he says he could feel the skin on his back, on Feyd's back, crawling, because he's just anticipating the blade to go into him. And this is where the Baron just basically lays it out, like, what the fuck, dude? Like why are you trying to kill me? And so Feyd basically is kind of like, well, this is what you want me to do? You want me to take charge and do it? It's like, yeah, but not by killing me. And so one of the things he mentions is that he is upset that Feyd's obviously tried to assassinate him, but he gives him this bargain, and he's going to have Hawat kind of watch over Feyd all the time.
If you stop killing me, I'll let you live.
Feyd doesn't even want Hawat around. Feyd thinks Hawat should be dead, but the Baron won't kill Hawat. So he's basically going to give Feyd a babysitter. And then
he does wear that really fancy diaper, so I wouldn't be surprised why the Baron thinks he needs a babysitter.
That's right. And then, the Baron basically, and there's a whole, it's great back and forth, because he even starts talking about, like, I needed to have somebody else kill you, because if I killed you myself, then the Bene Gesserit would know that I was lying. And he says, hey, by the way, how come you never have a Bene Gesserit working for you? And Baron's like, I don't like them around. So
after I knocked up that one, I swear I'd never do another one again.
But then he realizes that what the Baron's actually aiming for is not just that Feyd become the next Baron, but he's trying to poise him that possibly that he could be the next Emperor. So this is like Feyd's all of a sudden like, what?
It's like, I'm grooming you for something even better.
Yeah. So, but there's still going to be a punishment, and he's going to kill all the women in the pleasure wing.
Yeah, you get to go do that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to kill all of them.
And then you have to have sex with all the men.
So gross. Everything about these guys are so gross. So, interesting that's his angle, that he's looking to somehow usurp the Emperor and insert Feyd into it. So that's and then obviously Feyd just trying to kill his own uncle, who is basically his benefactor. And he talks a little bit even about the gladiator match that we read a couple chapters back, and how he had that fixed.
Yeah, he did mention that briefly.
So, and then we go over to chapter 39, and this is where we have a discussion between Thufir Hawat, and the Baron, and they start talking about. It's funny because Howard keeps on talking about the home planet of the Sardaukar warriors, Solitude Seculis, and how the Emperor uses this planet as a prison planet, but like the Baron's just not getting it. Like yeah, it's a prison planet. Why do you keep on focusing on this? And he's like, don't you think Arrakis is like the same thing that's happening? You have these people who are hardened in this terrible, harsh environment, and they become these incredible warriors. Well, isn't that also happening for the Fremen? And this is where the Baron thinks that most of the Fremen are dead, that they've been killing all these Fremen. And it's like, they're almost all dead. We're wiping them out. And he's like, not by my calculations. Like, why is his other cousin Rabban, who's in charge of Arrakis, why does he keep on asking for more men? Like, he has all this attrition of men. Why is he asking for more men? It's like,
for more sexy time, of course.
It's because the Fremen are wiping out the Harkonnen forces more and more. And
or that.
And yes, yeah. So he's going through all this thing, and it's like, basically, he's like, in the fighting force that we're seeing here, we're seeing things that are like trained. The fighting that we're seeing is like are more training that we see from Gurney Halleck and Duncan, Idaho, and but he doesn't make the connection that it could be Paul that's still alive. So, anyway, so the next thing he says is that he wants Rabban to look so bad by him not giving him any more support. Just end support, sending more troops and all the stuff that Rabban asked for to continue his rule and make Raban look so bad. Then he'll put Feyd in his place,
and he'll look the best ever.
Yeah, he'll look amazing. So he'll look great because he'll come there. The Baron is very enticed by what he's talking about. So, but then he remembers also because he keeps on talking about Sardaukar and how you could develop the Fremen as your own Sardaukar warriors, which, Duke Leto was already kind of like skirting with, not developing it, but like using them as an alliance. But so Hawat's thought is take a select group of people, make them seem like they are like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and that they're the greatest force in the universe. Give them mansions, give them like something to work towards, and they will become your, the greatest warriors, and they're going to wipe out the Sardaukar, and then you can just kind of be like, look at me, I can kick the Emperor's ass if I wanted to. And he says, remember when you talked to Lord Fenring about making Arrakis a prison planet? Remember that? He says, what did you say to him? And he says, he seemed a little cagey about that. I'm not really sure why. That's because Sardaukar warriors' planets, Salidus Secundus, is their training ground. They take the worst prisoners and they become these hard-edged warriors, whoever survives. And that's what the Fremen are. So
Space Spartans.
Yeah, basically. So cut off Raban from all his resources, and then Raban will get desperate, look awful, and then replace him with Feyd. And that will be, the way to go. So, and
he'll look so good in comparison. You'll be the bestest president of Arrakis ever.
Yeah, exactly. So
he'll be so bigly.
It's an excellent plan, but during the whole time, Thufir is just like, I hate this guy. He's awful. He's the most disgusting thing ever. I hate this guy. But he's still operating and calculating everything for the Baron. So
he's mathing.
He's mathing really hard.
Oh, math harder than anyone's ever mathed before.
So that's these two chapters. Dave, what do you think about the developments we're seeing in with the Harkonnens and what's happening with on Giedi Prime?
It's interesting seeing stuff from their perspective because we don't get a whole lot of the Harkonnens. This is only
we don't.
This is like our fifth, maybe sixth Harkonnen chapter in like the entire book. So I mean, it's really nice to see stuff from their perspective and what's going on and their plans. Actually, finally getting references from the Emperor that aren't from the Princess Irulan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we're getting some information there. They're planning a coup for the Emperor, and the Emperor's been helping them out so much. So it's like, come on, dudes, just like space politics is super corrupt, just like real politics.
Yeah, right, exactly, absolutely.
It's all corrupt. And I think that a lot of that was Frank Herbert's kind of like point, is that like it's like don't believe in a messiah and don't trust politicians.
Yeah, don't trust your leaders because they're just as corrupt, and even if the best politician shows up, they will end up being corrupt in the end.
Yeah, it's just kind of how it goes. Like the fall of man is always happening, and that seems very much the point of Frank Herbert. But I mean, as far as seeing them, it's very interesting. That especially that Feyd is Feyd-Rautha is trying to kill his uncle just to get the power instantaneously, not even realizing his uncle is doing everything for his best interest and trying to get him to become emperor of the galaxy. I mean, like, that'd be a sweet gig, I guess. I mean, a lot of power. You get random naked chicks scroll through, and it's like, maybe I'm not good enough for that one. We'll send that one to someone else.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's just interesting that he tried to kill his uncle, and his uncle's a terrible person, don't get me wrong, but his uncle's also setting him up for a really sweet gig. And then also the interaction with Thufir. It's just interesting that Thufir is just like, kind of wants to take down Harkonnen, but also he's just so caught up in his job, he's still just doing everything for Harkonnen anyway. So,
right, yeah.
How about you?
Just like you said, very interesting seeing the Harkonnen side of the story. Barron's just so weird and so gross with his penchant for young boys, and then. The most interesting wasn't so much. I mean, the development of him wanting to put Feyd-Rautha onto the throne was the Emperor's throne was interesting, and how he wants to move into that sphere. But more interesting was Thufir's plan about trying to make the Fremen into his own personal forces and stuff like that, and choke off Raban's thing. And this is obviously going to work into Paul Atreides' favor, because Raban's going to be choked off for any kind of help from Giedi Prime for more forces and supplies. And this is probably when Paul is going to take advantage of all of that. So, which they don't know. And they mention, actually, in both these chapters, Muad'Dib, meaning the mouse, and they're kind of chuckle at it. It's it means the mouse. What is that?
Oh, this little mouse is killing all of our people.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. And they mention that there's a new, Messiah religion based around Muad'Dib. So they think that, Barron talks to Feyd-Rautha about it, and then also it's mentioned between Hawat and the Barron as well in the next chapter. So it kind of establishes that Paul's already become the messianic, person
figure,
that we were. He was trying to avoid and was worried about. So
in 3 years,
it's already happened.
In 3 years, it's already happened. It's kind of crazy how fanaticism works.
Yeah. Crazy about that.
I think it's interesting that with God, I lost my train of thought.
No. Saying so. Well, anyways, I think that these obviously pieces are all getting set up to fall down, and we're going to see. And then we only have I believe about. Yeah, we have 8 more chapters, 9 more chapters to go. So we're going to see this all get wrapped up pretty quickly of how the Harkonnens are usurped from Arrakis by Paul.
Yeah.
So.
What I was going to say is we haven't they haven't really talked about the space navigators or anything at this point.
Yeah, they're only mentioned a couple times, obviously what they do and their function. So
we haven't gotten any in-depth thing on them, and that seems kind of important for how space travel works in Dune. I guess they get into it in the next couple books. I don't know. I've got them on audiobook ready to go, but I just think it's kind of interesting that it's never brought up, and kind of wonder why they were brought into into David Lynch's version of the movie.
David Lynch was like, "We got to show the navigators because that's all fucking weird."
I don't think David Lynch knew Dune, so I don't know how he knew to bring them up into it.
Well, he must have read the book. Like we said, the beginning first book, the first book of Dune, follows along with the Lynch movie relatively closely. It's later on they start falling off.
Yeah, the first part that was other than cuts that was noticeably largely different was the they talked about the mouse shadow on the second moon instead of an actual mouse. And
yeah, that has nothing. It has nothing to do with anything.
And then they changed some of the other lines around there. It was just really weird. Sure, some other stuff was a little bit different, but to a point, it was pretty close. And then it's so they start going off the rails there, I guess, because I don't think we ever cut to, the fights and this conversation. I don't remember this ever happening in the other Dune movie.
Yeah,
with David Lynch. There was a weird thing of Feyd-Rautha in a diaper.
Well, like I said, Sting wanted to do it naked, and they didn't want to let him. The movies people came and was like, nope. Throw some diapers on that dude.
Throw some diapers. Tilly's bag probably has some diapers.
My nappy.
Oh man. Yeah, I wonder if in the movie, if they do like the Baron, if they do this scene in the movie, like since they mentioned in the book that they tried to find people that look kind of like Paul for the Baron to have. If they put like, you know, I can't remember the actor's name who's playing Paul, but like put like a prosthetic on his nose so he kind of looks like, he, just like make him be like the little slave for whatever their Harkonnen. Because I mean, I don't know, to kind of like add that like the weirdness of it. You know what I mean?
That would be weird.
Well, in the book they said he looks just like Paul, basically. But I mean, I'm sure he looks different because it's not Paul. So just make the actor look a little bit different. I don't know.
That's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. So I it's weird that they would try to make it's weird, like you said, that the Baron would try to make that move to get rid of the Emperor and put Feyd-Rautha on it.
I mean, how does that benefit Harkonnen, Baron Harkonnen, Vladimir Harkonnen? I mean, like, I guess it could like give gifts to him, but I mean, it sounds like from the book that the Baron's getting old and like he's kind of counting on dying soon anyway.
No, he talks about retiring. He's like, I'll just I'll retire and go in the background of everything. So
yeah, but I mean, like that's what I mean. Like, it sounds like he's like close to the end of his life. He's gonna just go away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
It just seems like I don't know. I don't know how much advantage that would be to Vladimir himself. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just keeping his name, like, making his family line the Emperor's.
Yeah, that's where I think it goes more than anything. So yeah. Well, interesting, and we're like I said, we're getting closer and closer to like this end of this book and seeing how this all wraps up. I mean, this is the last
countdown.
That's right. It's the final countdown
to the
guys,
one of 30 books.
Yeah, I know, right? Guys, if you had different thoughts, or if there's something that we might have missed, or you want to just chime in, definitely let us contact us. You can hit us up by emailing us at synthaholic@yahoo.com. You can also hit us up on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. And you can go to our Twitter. Our Twitter is Synthaholic Duo, and you can talk to us there. So it's very exciting that we're going to see like some real action with Paul finally. Next chapter is Paul trying to ride the worms.
Oh yeah,
so worm riding.
Riding.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool, guys. So, all right, Dave. Next week we get into the next couple chapters, chapter 40 and 41, and we're going to be riding worms
over the hill.
That's all right. All right, guys. Until next week, the spice must flow. See you then.
Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
I haven't had any Shattered Mapes mentions in the book in a while.
Shattered Mapes, where are you?
I mean, I think Stilgar mentioned her a little bit, like when they were in the cave, and that was the last Shattered Mapes reference.
Or no, the not Stilgar, but the old Reverend Mother.
Oh,
she mentioned it's like, oh, Shattered Mapes talked to me about you.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, but still, it's just kind of funny that like Shattered Mapes is like got like 2 scenes or 3 scenes in the book, and like she's mentioned, like she keeps getting mentioned here and there, and like as the book goes on. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I know, but I don't think we'll see much of her anymore.
And no one's mentioned Dr. Yui in a really long time.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I know, but Shattered Mapes gets more mentions than Dr. Yui. Kind of funny.
True. Yeah, it's
kind of funny.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
It was fun.